Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Annie, and in this video I will be giving my thoughts on the novel Carrie. In my last video I showed my copy of Carrie that was falling apart, so I definitely needed a new Carrie, and my copies of The Shining and Salem's Lot are in pretty rough shape too. So I was really excited to get this book, and I've been wanting to replace a lot of my paperbacks with hardcovers, and this was like a really great deal. I found it on Barnes and Noble online, and it's like I said, it's the three stories: Carrie, The Shining, and Salem's Lot, but it's a hardcover and it's leather bound, and I like the way it looks. I like the cover is really cool. It's got a hornet, I think. I'm not sure if there's like a special meaning behind this. If anybody knows, please let me in on it, because I'd like to know. I figure there must be some sort of meaning behind it. Why else would they put it there? I don't know. But I like it. And then back it's got the bucket of blood for Carrie. Am I showing it? Right there. And then the back has the S and the K for Stephen King. And it looks like fancy metallic edge. And the writing, it's not like super small, it's decent size print. I'm very happy with it. But what I was going to say is that it only cost $25 for this. I ended up spending about $30 with shipping and handling and all that stuff. But for three stories, I think that, and being hardcover, I think $25 is like a really good deal. So I'm really excited and happy for that. And I'm reading it. I'm halfway through Salem's Lot right now, but I wanted to make a video and talk about Carrie. And again, before I do that, I wrote some notes down, because Carrie was Stephen King's first novel that got published. He wrote short stories for men's magazines like Playboy and Penthouse and Cavalier. I've never heard of that one, but he did that, and he'd get a small little something for it. But his first actual published novel was Carrie. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to do a little research on that. So I'm just going to read my notes to you, so I didn't want to forget anything. So I wrote everything down. But Carrie, so here we go. I'm going to read what I got. Carrie was published in 1974. In 1973, the year before Carrie was published, Stephen King was working as a high school English teacher at a private school in Maine. His wife was working the second shift at Dunkin' Donuts, and they had 2 young children. They lived in a double-wide trailer, and he drove an old Buick that was falling apart, and I think it was duct tape he had to use to keep things together on the car, because it was like a real junker. But yeah, they lived in a double-wide trailer, and he took odd jobs in the summer when he wasn't teaching, as a janitor. He worked as a gas pump attendant, and he worked at an industrial laundry. And sometimes he'd make money writing, the short stories for the men's magazines, but they lived pretty much paycheck to paycheck, and times are tough, and they definitely struggled financially, as most of us do. I definitely do. But the head of the English department where he was teaching offered him a promotion, and it would give him an extra $300 a year in his paycheck. And he told him that he wanted to discuss it with his wife first, of course. And so he thought that his wife would be really, happy to hear this news. But she asked him if he would still have time to write if he did take it, and he said probably not. And she said, don't take it then. And she really encouraged his writing, definitely. she knew how important it was to him. And she actually set up a writing area in their laundry room with a typewriter, and that's where he started writing Carrie. And at first he didn't like it, and he ended up throwing away the first couple pages that he wrote. He probably had in mind that he was going to be writing it for, these men magazines that he had been writing for, and it was already getting too long, and he didn't feel like he could, really give justice to a woman's point of view, being a man. So he threw it away, and whatever. And so the next day, his wife, was cleaning up, and she found it, and she took it out of the trash and read it and thought it was really good. And, she told him so, and, told him to keep going with it. And she helped him with the parts about, a woman's point of view. She gave, her 2 cents, and, so she really encouraged him, and he ended up finishing it. And I'm going to tell you about the idea, like how he came up with the idea for Carrie now. So the idea for Carrie came to King when he was daydreaming about an article he read in Life magazine about telekinesis and how it was the strongest in adolescent girls. And so that, got his brain going. And he was also inspired by 2 girls he went to high school with. One girl was an epileptic who had seizures, obviously. And the other one was, I guess, this girl whose mother had a life-size crucifix in their living room, and she wore the same clothes every day and would get teased for that. And the 2 of them were kind of social outcasts. So between the telekinesis and these 2 girls, and he did his magic, but both of the girls ended up being dead by the time Carrie came out, which kind of is sad. But one who was epileptic, died from a really bad seizure, and the other girl had a really bad case of postpartum depression and ended up sadly committing suicide. But King was actually teaching when he found out that Carrie had been, published, and he got a phone call from his wife, and he thought something might be wrong because they were so poor that they couldn't even afford to keep a telephone. So for his wife to make a phone call, she'd have to get dressed, get the kids dressed, go to the neighbors. It would be like this whole production. So the only time that, she might call would be an emergency. So he was really nervous, and he took the call, and she told him that he got a telegram from the people at, let me see if I can find it. Doubleday. Bill Thompson from Doubleday Publishing had sent a telegram congratulating him and asking if $2,500 advance was okay. And he was so excited, and it was okay. It was awesome, because that's the most that he had ever made from writing at the time. So he was really happy. He was able to get a new car, and he was able to get his family out of the trailer and get them into a nice apartment. So it was really, really great news for them. It was right when they needed it. So I can imagine how exciting that must have been, right? But everything was going great. But the hardcover of Carrie actually didn't do so well as they had hoped. It only sold 13,000 copies. So he ended up signing another year teaching at the school, the private school that he was teaching English at. He signed another year for the 1974 school year, and to continue teaching, because he thought whatever happened with Carrie, and it's over, and that was just a fluke. But then he got another phone call, and he found out that the paperback rights to Carrie had been sent to Signet Books for 400 grand, and that he'd get half of it, 200 grand. And that was the beginning of his successful and long and awesome writing career. I thought that was interesting that it all started with Carrie. Like, how awesome would it be? You know, you're struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. You have this hobby, and like you're doing something that you love doing, that you're passionate about, and it changes your life. You get to make all this money doing something that you. So a lot of people know the story of Carrie. It's pretty popular. There's been several movies about it. My personal favorite is the original 19, was it 77, 75? I'm not sure when it came out, in the 70s, with Sissy Spacek, is that her name? But the original one is the best. It used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. And actually, to be honest with you, as an adult, I've been like kind of scared to watch it, even though like I've seen a lot of other horror movies. I read the book. I don't know, it just freaks me out. Like, and for some reason as a kid, I remember being scared of Sue Snell. But the quick synopsis of Carrie. Carrie is a high school senior, and the book starts off with her in the gym locker room. And back then, I don't know, in other places where I grew up, we didn't take showers together after gym or anything like that, so I can't relate to that part. But they're all naked and showering and da-da-da, and Carrie gets her period, and she doesn't know what it is, and she has absolutely no concept of like menstruation or anything that, you know, a girl her age should know about. And so she thinks she's bleeding to death, and she's freaking out, and everyone's like laughing at her, and they're screaming period, and they're taunting her and telling her to plug it up, and they're throwing tampons and, you know, all that fun stuff at her. And she's just clueless and has no idea. She thinks she's dying, and these people are just laughing at her, and she's so confused, and it's really sad. And so the gym teacher walks in, she kicks all the girls out, and she's shocked that Carrie doesn't know what's going on, and you know, she has to explain it to her. And she brings her to the principal's office so that, you know, she can go home, because it's pretty traumatizing what she had to just go through. So Carrie lives with her mother, who is and I am not criticizing religion or people who have a strong faith at all, but she was just fucking crazy. She's crazy. She's a religious fanatic. She's nuts. She has a life-size crucifix in her house. She has you know, her house is just decorated with religious pictures of, like, the way I imagine it was not like loving God pictures, but like of a punishing God all over the place. And they have a prayer closet. And I guess the mother's background is that she's like a fundamentalist, and she believes that intercourse is the greatest sin of all, even between married couples, that intercourse is the greatest sin. And she thinks that Carrie's evil. She knows a little bit about, Carrie has telekinesis, and but it only comes out, I think, when she's like emotional. There was a case when she was 4 where her neighbor was sunbathing, and Carrie went out to talk to her, and Carrie's mother came out and freaked out and screamed at her, and she was calling the neighbor like a harlot, like a Jezebel, and like just acting like she's pure evil. And she like told Carrie that, you know, she needed to pray and go to the closet, and Carrie just got so upset that she caused heavy stones to fall just on their house, the White's house, and nowhere else. And like a storm of stones that came down. And that was when she was 4. I don't want to get so much into the book that I'm telling the whole story. I kind of, once I get on a rant, I'll end up going on and on. Anyway, so Carrie lives with her very religious mother. Get back to basics. And all through Carrie's schooling, Carrie got teased. She wears very old-fashioned, outdated, very modest clothes, and she gets teased. She's very awkward. She's described as a frog among swans. She's very shy and timid and awkward, and nobody likes Carrie White. She has like a very hard time getting, bullied in school. And so she has to deal with that. And then she has to deal with her religious fanatic mother, who's constantly treating her like she's the biggest sinner in the world, like she's evil, like Carrie's evil. She treats her like Carrie's evil. She's constantly telling Carrie that the outside world is a bad place. It's full of sinners. They're all going to hell. They're just disgusting, horrible creatures. So Carrie's getting like really like messed up messages, not only from her peers, negative messages from her peers, but also from her mother at home. Plus, she's dealing with the fact that as she's getting older, her powers are getting stronger, and she's just beginning to learn what that means and what she can do. She'll hang out in her bedroom and she'll lift her bureau and she'll call it flexing. She's trying to be stronger, and I think she just wants to get away from her mom and like live a normal life. She doesn't want to hide away in the house and watch the world go by, hiding away. She wants to, she's a young girl. She wants to live her life. She wants to be happy. She wants to prove her mother wrong, that people aren't as bad as she makes them out to be. So the incident in the gym where all the girls were throwing tampons at her really upset the gym teacher, obviously, and the principal. So they punished the girls by having them have detention. And if they didn't do the detention, then they were banned from prom, the spring dance. So they all, the girls are whatever, but there's one girl, Chris, who is the ringleader of the bullies. And her father's a lawyer, so she gets away with everything and thinks she can say and do whatever she wants with no consequence. She decides that she's not going to detention. She doesn't deserve to be punished. And her father comes in to talk to the principal and tries to talk his way out of it. And the principal's like, pretty much get lost. He doesn't really say that, but in a nutshell, he says, forget about it. Your daughter did something wrong and she should be punished for it. And, Chris, the girl, is so like upset that she decides like that Carrie White needs to be punished good. So she comes up with this plan with her boyfriend, who's from the wrong side of town. He's a loser. He's like a real like bad guy, and he's an asshole. If you read the story, I think you will agree. Her boyfriend, Billy, and her come up with the idea of pouring pig's blood on Carrie and having her be nominated for queen so that she'd be up on the throne, and they throw pig's blood on her. So her boyfriend, Billy, goes to this farm, and his friends go to this farm. The friends don't know why they're doing it, so they're not really a part of the plan, but they do help him get the pig's blood, and he kills 2 pigs and fills 2 milk buckets up with pig blood, and they keep it, and yeah. So this other girl, Sue Snell, who I always thought was scary and bad in the movie for some reason. As a kid, I don't understand why, because Sue was actually, I don't think she was like a good person per se, but I don't think she was really a villain either. She felt bad about teasing Carrie, and I think I've been teased, but I've also teased people because other people, going along with other people around me. I'm not proud of it, but I have. So, you could relate to her because we've all done things we're not proud of. And she felt bad for it. And she tried to make up for it by asking her boyfriend, who was like the most popular boy in school. He was a jock, but he got good grades. He was one of those guys that everybody likes. So she asked him if he would take Carrie White to the prom. She thought it would be nice for her to be a part of everything, to to have her boyfriend take her, and like that she might have a really good time, and she wanted to do something nice. Even though Sue really wanted to go to the prom herself, she wanted to make that, make up for the hurt she gave Carrie when she was teasing her, and she wanted to make up for it. And so her boyfriend agrees to take her. So Carrie's very excited about going to this prom, and her mom's trying to talk her out of it. And Carrie's not listening to her because, she knows her mom. She feels like her mom's full of shit. And she wants to prove her wrong, that people can be good. She wants to live. She wants to get out of that house. So she makes her dress, and she's so excited about going, and she can't believe that she can't believe that Tommy Ross, the most popular boy in school, is asking her to the prom. And part of her is a little afraid that it's a trick, because she's used to everyone playing tricks on her, and it wouldn't be the first time. So as she was excited, she was also like, part of her was like really scared, and kind of had her, walls up a little bit. So she makes her dress. She makes a really beautiful red dress, and there's a funny part in the book that's also in the movie where the mom tells Carrie that her breasts were showing, but she tells her that her dirty pillows are showing, which I always thought was like kind of hilarious that she calls them her dirty pillows. So anyway, Tommy Ross brings Carrie to the prom, and it's a magical night. Everything's beautiful. People are actually being kind to her, and she's starting to, open up out of her shell, and everything's going great, and she's really happy. Now, while they were planning the prom, Chris set it up so that Carrie and Tommy Ross would win king and queen of the prom. So the finale is that Carrie and Tommy Ross are nominated king and queen of the prom, and as they're sitting up on the stage and everyone's singing the school song and everyone's clapping and happy, and it's probably like the most happiest she's ever been in her whole life. She finally feels a part of everybody. She's with her peers, she's being accepted. She's probably so happy. And then out of nowhere, 2 buckets full of pig's blood fall all over her, covering her. And one of the buckets fell on Tommy Ross, who was sitting next to her, and knocked him out. And so Carrie obviously doesn't react well. Meanwhile, while they're getting ready for the prom before that, her powers, as I said, she was practicing flexing and using her powers. Her powers have been growing and building, and it was this event, this happening to her, the humiliation and the shock and the horror of it. It just sent things through the roof with her powers, and It's like it was like waiting for this one moment to like, so she ends up causing electrical fires, and I'm not getting into all the gritty details of it, but everybody at the prom ends up dead. And she seeks her vengeance. Everyone at the school ends up dead. She ends up going back home and killing her mother. And I'm not going to say how she does it, but it's different than in the movie. I like the way it was done in the book better, though. But her mom stabbed her in the shoulder, so she's got like a knife coming out of her. She's covered in pig's blood. She just kills her mom. She finds Chris and Billy, and she causes them to have like a bad car wreck or something, and they die. And she ends up Sue. She doesn't kill Sue Snell, but she shows she's dying. He's like been stabbed, and she's using all these powers, and she's dying. And so she ends up collapsing on the street, and Sue Snell finds her, and she gives Carrie sends her a message telepathically, I guess, like to see if Sue was a part of it or not, if her intention was for this to happen to Carrie, or if her intentions were good. And it showed that she did not want that to happen. She's not perfect, but she didn't have any part of that. So I think Carrie, seeing that, like, showed her mercy and, didn't kill her. That's what I think. But, Carrie, when she was, getting her vengeance, she would do things like all the fire hydrants and water thingies that the town has for the fire department to put out fires, she let them go, so the town had no water, and it would take them longer to get help from other counties. It was like a freaking mess. Pretty much she burned down not just the school, she burned down the whole town. She really got her vengeance good. And I don't blame her. What she went through was fucking horrible. Like, to somebody to do that is real. I hate rude people. I hate people who are like mean to other people for no reason. People who are judgmental, I think they're assholes. I have no sympathy for that. But that's an overview of the book. And it's also written, by the way, where you get Carrie's point of view, and you get, the different characters' point of view, but you also get these interviews and these articles that are from the future that go back, and they talk about telekinesis, about the Carrie White case, and it's pretty interesting. I think it was a really cool style to write, and I thought it was one of those stories that it was a page turner. I wanted to find out what she was going to do next, what was happening, and it wasn't boring. You read some books, and I don't know, sometimes it takes a while for you to get really into them. It wasn't like that with this. It was definitely, from page one, it was a page turner. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it for anybody wanting to read a good book. I mean, it's a classic, and I would recommend it. And again, I'm very happy with my new book, and I'm excited. I'm going to show it off again. But Carrie, awesome book. And next I will be doing a review on, I don't like to say review because it's just my opinion, really. My opinion on the book. Salem's Lot. I'm excited about that. I'm in the middle of it. So far, I really like it. It's a really fun story. So I'm looking forward to talking about that next time. So keep reading and enjoy.